Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to see about decision making and management information system. In first line I have written that decision making is a cognitive process that results in the selection of a course of action among several alternative scenarios. Decision making is a daily activity for any human being. There is no exception about that. When it comes to business organization, decision making is a habit and a process as well. So decision making process is a cognitive process, that means very intellectual uh, decision making, or the process by which any person can select the best course of action and best alternatives from available to them. Effective and successful decision results in profit, while causes unsuccessful ones cause losses. Therefore, corporate decision making is the most critical process in any organization. So, decision making process is very crucial for any organization, for the success of any organization. If wrong decision is taken, so at that time there may be chances of huge loss to the organization. Next is, in a decision making process, we choose one course of action from a few possible alternatives. In the process of decision making, we may use many tools, techniques, and perceptions. So, decision making process is a very critical process in which there are various type of tools, techniques, and perception is used. In addition, we may make our own private decisions or may prefer a collective decision. So we can also use our own common sense and also can take the consultation from others also for the better decision making. Next is, usually decision making is hard. Majority of the corporate decision involves some level of dissatisfaction or conflict with another party. So decision making is hard because if any decision is made in any organization, so there may be chances that within the implies there may be chances of the dissatisfaction or conflict. So decision making is really very tough task for the management. So we can see next we can see the decision making process. So in decision making process, basically there are 8 steps. So in by the figure we can see, first one is identification of the purpose of the decision. Next is information gathering. Next is principle for judging the alternatives. Next is brainstorm and analyze the different choices. Next one is evaluation of alternatives. Next is select the best alternatives and then execute the decision, and last is evaluate the results. So one by one we can see that what are the steps. So in first step we have to identify the purpose of the decision. So in this step the problem is thoroughly analyzed. There are a couple of questions one should ask when it comes to identifying the purpose of the decision. So for there may be various type of question to identify the purpose of the decision, like what the exactly is the problem. Next is why the problem should be solved. Who are the affected parties of the problem. Next is, does the problem have a deadline or a specific timeline. So by that, in any management can identify the purpose of the decision. Next is information. Step 2 is information gathering. So a problem of an organization will have many stakeholders. In addition, there can be dozens of factors involved and affected by the problem. In the process of solving the problem, you will have to gather as much as information related to the factors and stakeholders involved in the problem. So for the process of information gathering, tools such as checklist can be effectively used. So after the first step, that means identification of the purpose of the decision, next step comes that information gathering. So information gathering is most crucial for the decision making, because there are so many problems exist in any organization. So until and unless the information related to that problem is not available, management, how any management can solve that problem? So it is not possible. So for solving that problem or for making the better decision, information is most crucial part. Step third is principle for judging the alternatives. So in this step, the baseline criteria for judging the alternatives should be set up. When it comes to defining the criteria, organizational goals as well as the corporate culture should be taken into consideration. As an example, profit is one of the main concerns in any every or decision making process. Companies usually do not make decisions that reduce profits unless it is an exceptional case. Likewise, baseline principles should be identified related to the problem in hand. So after gathering the information, next step comes that principle for judging the alternatives. So whatever the alternatives exist, so after judging is one of the best part, miss which one is best alternative and which one gives the more profit to the organization. So after judging that, next step comes that step 4, brainstorm and analyze the choices. So for this step, brainstorming to list down all the ideas is the best option. Before the idea generation step, it is vital to understand the causes of the problem and prioritization of causes. For this, you can make use of cause and effect diagrams and Pareto chart tool. Cause and effect diagram helps you to identify all possible causes of the problem, and Pareto chart helps you to prioritize and identify the causes with the highest effect. Then you can move to the generating all possible solutions alternatives for the problem in hand. So in brainstorm and analyze the choices step, you can just list down or jot down all the best ideas and best options available to the management, and then give the priority to those which is really very essential and fruitful for the organization. Step 5 is evaluation of alternatives. So use your judgment principle and decision making criteria to evaluate each alternative. In this step, experience and effectiveness of the judgment principles come into play. You need to compare each alternative for their positive and negatives. So evaluation of alternatives is very crucial part here also, because whatever the alternatives is there, so comparing that which one is the best, and using your own common sense or expert opinion, then take the decision is the best part of part for the for the effective for the achievement of the organizational goal. Next step is step 6, select the best alternative. Once you go through the from the first step 1 to 5, this step is easy. In addition, the selection of the best alternative is an informal decision, since you have already followed a methodology to derive the select the best alternative. So it is very simple point. In 6 point, select the best alternative, whatever the alternatives is there. So here the selection is done, and after that execute the decision. So whatever the selection selected alternatives is by the management, then execution is most important step. So here the convert your decision into a plan for or a sequence of activities. Execute your plan by yourself or with the help of subordinates. Next step is step 8, evaluate the results. Evaluate the outcome of your decision, see whether there is anything you should learn and then correct in future decision making. This is one of the best practices that will improve your decision making skills. So after execution of the decision, so evaluation is one of the important step for the decision making, because here outcome of the decision is seen by the management, that whether that decision is correct in the future decision making or not. If there is no any effect or the loss is arises, so at that time the decision is changed, and um, decision making skills, and thereafter that improves the decision making skills also. So in next video we will see about the levels of management, types of information that are required at different levels of management. So till then, thank you, have a nice day.